The behavior that we are seeing in our community is absolutely unacceptable.
Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of the clips that you're going to see in this video I took out of another YouTube channel, and the name is Renegade Show, right? So I'll list it up here so you can check it out. And if you want to go check out their channel, I'll leave the link in the description of this video. However, when I was watching this video this morning, I was watching the police chief of Ottawa, I believe it is, giving some kind of a news conference. And as I'm watching this video, I think back to when I was in the military. You know, a lot of the things that you learn in the military, it's ingrained in you. It's called muscle memory. They make you practice it so much, and you do it so much that it stays with you pretty much forever. And I'm listening to his brief or his news conference, and I think to myself, Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies. And Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies is an acronym that we use in the military so that we can easily remember all of the stages of planning out and executing a mission. And ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of broken up. If you go watch that video, it's kind of broken up. They don't like say it in order, but definitely all of the elements of how military would execute a mission onto its enemy is in this video. And ladies and gentlemen, as you saw in the beginning, you are the enemy. Your behavior is unacceptable. So you will fall in line, and we will make you fall in line if you don't. It's kind of like, to me, what's going on now with the police that are not in line with freedom, right? That are not in line with the fringe minority, as they say. To me, they are like an electric wire. To me, that's what they are. They're kind of like the electric wire. They're kind of like the thing that's supposed to be used to keep the herd in line, to make sure that the herd understands where it belongs and that it does not go outside. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The herd is not listening, and the herd does not care about the electric wire anymore. Why is that? Because the pain that the electric wire now induces is a lot less than the pain that the system that has been pushed upon the people is doing. They're tired of the pain. They're tired of giving up their freedoms. So now they're doing what they have to do in order to regain their freedoms. And now, what is the system doing? The system that they pay for. What is the system doing? They're using their labor, their freedom against them by planning a military-style takeover of their movement. I'm going to go through each clip here so that I can go ahead and show you exactly what I mean by Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies. Before Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies, there has to be intelligence, and that is in the background. So that's done before we start the process of the Sergeant Major eating sugar cookies.
Thank you very much for the question. In terms of intelligence that we have for this weekend, we are receiving information, have been tracking and working with our partners. We're anticipating between 300 to 400 trucks attempting to enter to engage in the demonstration this weekend.
So now they have their intel, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure they have a lot more intel than that. It's just what they're reporting. And that's one thing you do. You never report all of the intel that you have to the public. Right? And I'm sure they're doing the same thing. Now let's get to the S of the Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies. Let me show you how it's been translated to be used like in the civilian world from the military. See, it's so effective. Sergeant Major eats sugar cookies is so effective in the military that civilian companies now started doing it. So Sergeant, first letter is S. It's the situation. Let's look at this from a crisis standpoint. All right. So now we're talking like a civilian standpoint. The situation plainly is that the image of your company being the state in the media or community is shed in a negative light. And isn't that what's happening right now, ladies and gentlemen, all over the world? Thank you, Canada, for starting this movement. And thank you to all of the other countries that have actually started participating in the same movement. Someone said something wrong, someone acted inappropriately, and you and your company are no longer the good guys. And isn't that what's happening, ladies and gentlemen?
I want to reiterate what Ottawa residents have endured, what Ottawa businesses have endured, what our own service members and our partners have endured over the last week is unacceptable. We are doing more and more each day as we learn and understand the nature of this demonstration, how it is supported, funded, sustained, and committed to continuing on despite best efforts by policing partners here and across the country.
All that they are trying to do, and when I say they, I mean the establishment, I mean the state. All they are trying to do now is save face. All they are trying to do is demonize those that want freedom and make them look like the bad guys. They will use any instance whatsoever to make them look like the bad guys. You know, my daughter came from school here a few days back. This was a few days back. And she asked me, she's like, did you hear what's going on in Canada? And I'm like, about the truckers? And she said, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I did hear about that. And I said, where did you hear about that? And she said, in school. And I said, well, what did you hear? Tell me what you know about it. She said, I heard that the truckers that are protesting, that they were stealing food and that they were breaking into people's houses. And the only things that she told me that she heard about it were negative things. Where, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what population you belong to. It doesn't matter what country you're in. It doesn't matter what ethnicity, what religion, what political party. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be good people, and there's always going to be some bad people. And in this case, ladies and gentlemen, what they're doing is they're taking the bad actors, you know, the very few, the actual minority, right? And putting a spotlight on them, and then allowing people to think through their propaganda that this is what the entire movement is about. And the second one is mission. So what is the mission? Very easy. Get rid of the thorn on your side. Get rid of those that are making you look bad. Get rid of those that are getting in the way of your agenda.
We're absolutely committed to bringing this demonstration to an end. We've implemented major new efforts, 150 new officers.
The third one, execution. How are we going to do this? How are we going to execute our mission? How are we going to execute the mission to get rid of these people, get them out of here, make them look bad so that their movement will stop going forward?
And we have learned from our experience. We have gathered new evidence. We have secured new allies, and we're implementing new measures to bring this demonstration to an end. 24 hours a day over the next 4 days coming through this weekend, those officers will be focused on enforcement, bringing to order, and bringing to justice those who've committed disorder and unlawful acts.
The next one, S, service and support. Who is doing this with us? Who is helping us? Who are we reaching out to? Who are our allies? And I'm talking on the part of the state here. Who are our allies? What can we do? What can we do? And who can we do it with? Who can help us make this stop? They are employing the media. They are employing other organizations that are against this group and speaking out against them. Here, for support and services, it says, who is helping us with this? Right, ladies and gentlemen, who is helping us with this? Anybody hear about what happened with GoFundMe? Right? Anybody listening to the media, to the mainstream media? The last one is C, command and signal. Who is in charge? We all know who is in charge, ladies and gentlemen. So pretty much this is command and control. What they're talking about here is command and control, meaning that there is a chain of command. Who is in charge of this operation? And if we run into problems, who do we communicate with in order to solve those issues and accomplish our final goal? So your state, ladies and gentlemen, your own state is using military tactics against you. But why? Ladies and gentlemen, because freedom, ladies and gentlemen, is the most dangerous thing that a government can encounter. Not only that, but the ideology of freedom. I'm going to stop talking now, but let me tell you this quick story. In Afghanistan, and I won't get into specifics, but in Afghanistan, a very large group of bad guys, supposedly bad guys, okay, was spotted in the mountains of a certain, region. And air support was called in, and, they were eliminated. Air support came in, they dropped, their munitions, and those bad guys were eliminated. It was hundreds. Well, during the cleanup, okay, these guys that were eliminated were laying on the ground in pieces pretty much. Ladies and gentlemen, their feet, and this was in the middle of winter. Very important that you know this. This was in the middle of winter in Afghanistan. Afghanistan, it gets pretty chilly in the winter. It snows and all that kind of stuff. Maybe not as heavily as some parts of the United States here and Canada, but it does snow and it gets pretty chilly in the winter. But these gentlemen, their feet told it all. Their feet told me that this war is unwinnable. And I'm talking about back more than a decade ago, right? When we were in the middle of the Afghanistan war. They had plastic bags in their feet. Like the shopping bags, like the bags that you get from Walmart. They had bags like that on their feet without any shoes. Some of them were lucky enough to have flip-flops, sandals, whatever you call them nowadays. But most of them had plastic bags to protect their feet against the snow and the terrain. Ladies and gentlemen, how in the world do you beat an ideology like that? How in the world can you win against a people who are willing to wear plastic bags on their feet to go fight for what they believe in? The only one other ideology that I can think of that would trump that is freedom. They are trying to move that ideology, that notion from your head that freedom is not worth fighting for. Well, I'll tell you what. The fringe minority, all right, the fringe minority, our brothers and sisters in Canada and now in all these other countries that are standing up, they're saying, no, freedom is worth fighting for. And we're going to do whatever it takes. And before I continue, I want to say I'm very proud of our brothers and sisters in Canada. I try not to get political, ladies and gentlemen, because that's not what it's about. That's what they want you to make it about. They want you to make it about politics so that you and I can be divided. But it's not about that. It's about freedom.